Thursday, October 29th, 2020, and welcome to the fourth episode of How I Did It. Today's guest is Coach Porter. Coach Porter is the head coach for Francis Marion University in Florence, South Carolina. So, Coach, welcome to the show. All right,
Good to be with you.
So now let me tell you a little bit about Coach Porter before we get started. So Coach Porter is a graduate from Liberty University. She made first team All Big South Conference, and she's also on Liberty University's Lady Flames Hall of Fame. Not only that, Coach Porter, she is married to Michael Porter and has two kids, EJ and Jada. And now, Coach Porter, we can go ahead and get started with the show.
Absolutely.
So first things first, Coach Porter, I wanted to ask you something that was interesting, just reading your bio, just like your history and stuff. You got a degree in psychology, and I just wanted to ask you, how did your degree in psychology help you, with the psychology of basketball and just coaching?
You know what? It's really proved to be invaluable because so much of coaching is connecting, it's relationships. Is getting to know people beyond the court so that you know how to motivate. I learned a long time ago as a young head coach that everybody's not going to be motivated the same way. And so you've got to know what motivates kids individually. And the best way to do that is through relationship. I found the psychology degree and the counseling background that I have to be really quite valuable just in terms of being able to connect with young women and then being able to have a little bit more of a relationship even beyond what we do on the court, and let that carry over into just relationships in personal life and beyond basketball.
Yeah. All right. It's interesting. So how are you doing through this pandemic? Like, as far as coaching your players, are you guys going to be playing soon? Like, what's going on?
Yeah, man, I tell you what, it's been challenging. Right off the bat, the pandemic itself, say, for me, hasn't been that as difficult as it probably has been for people who are a little more outgoing, people who aren't quite as much of a homebody as I am. So on a personal level, from April until September, I was chill. I was good. I was sitting at home watching a little Netflix, on a computer, doing Zoom meetings. But now that we've gotten back into school, it's become a lot more challenging because I feel responsible for making sure that I keep my women informed, and those young ladies are working extremely hard. And right now we don't have a lot of clear direction about what comes next. For instance, we literally just found out today, this evening, that we are only going to play a 16-game conference schedule.
Wow.
Season is not going to start until January. I literally found that out on my way home in an email from my AD, and I haven't even told my team yet. So Those things from a coaching standpoint that have been a little bit difficult because I want to be able to give them more information, and I want to be able to make sure they feel like they're working towards something.
Right.
But the information for us has kind of trickled in. It hasn't come in real fast. And so kind of made it difficult to continue to work, purposefully like you really want to. Now that we've got all the information, at least up to the point of knowing when our season's going to start, we can start to work that, even though it's not necessarily what we would have wanted. We can start to kind of work with that information and start putting a little purpose behind what we're doing right now.
Got you. Okay. Wow, January. That's
yeah. I've settled down a little bit since I got the word. I was not real pleased when I heard. You know what? It's a hard decision. It's a hard call. I feel for the administrators and the people that are having to make the decisions. But at the end of the day, you want to keep people safe. I understand that. And if that's the main goal, then, we can't be too disappointed, too upset if it's really about staying safe.
Right. Yeah, I totally understand. All right, my next question for you. Today earlier, I was playing basketball at a rec gym, and I didn't have my mask on, and one of the staff members came in and was like, "Hey, you need to wear your mask while you're working out."
Right.
Do your players, like, you guys have to wear your masks in practices? Like, what's the, I guess the rules with that?
Yeah, our rule has been that anytime we don't require them to keep the mask on while they are like performing athletic activity. So in other words, like we're not going to ask you to put a mask on while you're running up and down the court. You know, but our rule is when you're stationary, whether you are stretching, whether we are in our circle before practice starts,
Yeah.
and if you're off the court in a drill and you're not participating, at that point, then the mask has to be up. And so it's hard. Like I'm not even as active, in terms of my role in practice as they are. But I still find myself, needing to pull it down to catch a little bit of air and then pull it back up. So
right.
I can imagine how difficult it would be if you were actually in the middle of a game, having to wear a mask. So we've tried to find a balance with that where, we try to be realistic about the fact that, it's going to be kind of hard to keep it on when you're actually moving and active. But at the same time, there are times in practice when you're not. And that's when we want you to be mindful that it probably is something that you need to make sure you keep on.
Right. Okay. I just want to send a reminder for people who are listening. We're here with Coach Porter, and this is how I did it. Let's go on to the next question. Coach, with this pandemic and the virus going on with this year, of course, it really does question whether somebody wants to play basketball, how bad you really want it. Has it been challenging for you as a coach? Or what are your thoughts just about, if to really see if somebody really wants to pursue the dream, whether that's playing in college, professionally, or whatever, how this year can really, question that or challenge someone?
Yeah, it's been interesting. I have, as you mentioned in my bio, I have a son, my oldest, who is 20. He's a junior and a ball player. He's up at Messiah University in Pennsylvania playing basketball now. And so it's kind of given me the rare advantage of being able to kind of see this whole thing through his eyes as a college athlete, but as a mom, and also to see through the eyes of my players. Full disclosure, I've had an all-conference player opt out of this season because of concern about COVID. And just in talking to my players now, because we try to talk, at least a couple times a week about how they're feeling, where they're at mentally and what their concerns are. Right. And our kids are concerned, like they want to be mindful that it's out there, that it's real, it's not fake, it's not a hoax. We can catch it, but the kids that I have on the floor right now, we're 13 strong, and they're playing because they love the game and they can't imagine going a season without it. Even in the midst of the possibilities and the concerns, it's just still not something that they can see themselves having to do without. So you respect that, but you also, as a coach and a mom and somebody who cares about people, you also respect that kid that says, hey, I'm gonna sit this one out. Like, I love the game, but my health is a little more important.
Right.
And so you have to take both of those, and you gotta know the individual. I think that's where the relationships come in. You have to know the individual well enough to be able to trust their heart is in the right place, and they feel like they got to look out for themselves. So yeah, I've been on both sides of that as a coach, as a mother, and I think the key for us as coaches right now is to think about what's best for these kids, to not necessarily get up on what might be in our own best interest, because nobody wants to lose a key player off the court at this point. Yeah. But if that's what parents and kids feel is in their best interest, then you gotta be able to respect that.
Right. Understand. So how has your career prepared you for this moment? Just the pressure, I guess, by just this year in general. Maybe some of your players or staff haven't experienced this before. None of us have, but how has your career in general just prepared you for this?
That's a really good question. I think that coaching, in the 26, 27 years that I've done this, the one thing I've learned that probably has helped me right now in this moment is that you have to be flexible. Like coaching is about flexibility. It's about being able to go with the flow and adjust and stop on a dime and pivot and go the other way. It's that really is what it's about, being flexible. It's what coaching is all about at the end of the day.
Yeah.
When you deal with people on a daily basis, you got to be flexible, right? Like you got to figure out how to adjust and adapt, make changes if necessary. I was just having a conversation a week or so ago with my staff about the fact that how much I've had to change in terms of my system and my coaching style and the way that I do things, because kids change. And, as I get older and kids get younger, you got to be able to make those adjustments. And so I think probably from a big picture standpoint, that's probably been the biggest thing in terms of what you learn on your journey as a coach, that now in the middle of something that's completely unprecedented, we can all kind of take this and say, okay, if we can't do anything else as coaches, we know how to adjust, right? Like we can be flexible, because that's what our job requires of us probably pretty much on a daily basis. So we're having to walk that out now in a way that I'm sure none of us ever anticipated we were going to have to.
All right. Interesting. All right. Again, we're here with Coach Porter, and this is how I did it. So, Coach, we're at our last 3 questions. These 3 questions I ask every person that I interview. Okay. So, the first question: what inspires you?
Wow. What inspires me? I think passion. I think determination. I think the intangibles inspire me a lot more than raw talent. I'm inspired by people who have those intangible things like the love for the game, the determination, the work ethic, the coachable attitude. Those are the things that you can see in maybe even a less talented kid that really make you excited about getting up and going to work every day, right? So, the inspiration for me comes from my players, and it comes from those kids that I'm making a difference for her. Right? Like if I don't show up and do my best, then I'm going to be cheating her because she's showing up every day giving me hers. And so I would say that's probably the biggest inspiration for me, particularly at this point in my career. I want to win. We all do. We all want to win as many games as we possibly can. But I also realize at this stage in my career that I get a lot more out of the day-to-day, out of the process, than I do, necessarily the end result. So if I can find 3 or 4 of those kids that just have that drive and that inspiration, that light in their eyes because they love this so much, that's really where I get my inspiration from.
Got you. All right, second question. What's your pet peeve?
Inconsistency, right? Like, don't do it today and then fail to do it for the rest of the week, right? Like, don't drop 20 tonight and then for the next 3 games you give me like 6. I just really struggle. Like, I want to know what I'm going to get. I want you to be consistent as you can be, and your consistent might be 6 and 6. But if I can pencil that in every day, I'll take it because it's a done deal. It's it's consistent. Yeah. And it's really difficult to find that. Like, greatness is consistent. Yeah. Like, you are the GOAT. You figured out how to consistently do it through the course of a really, just an awesome 4-year career. But it's really difficult to find that consistency in players, on a whole. So if there's a peeve for me, it's just, I want to know what I'm getting, and I need you to bring it every day, whether it's practice or whether it's the game. This mentality where I can turn it on, turn it off. Those are the things that irk me a little bit, because I think that kids want to be great. Understand a lot of times it's just the little things that's where greatness starts. It starts just in the small things that you do every day. Yeah. And a lot of people don't really understand that.
Yeah, I appreciate that. It's good for the young ones to hear this.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So third question, what is your guilty pleasure?
Wow. Um, I've got a sweet tooth.
Okay.
And it's something I'm actually working on right now because I'm trying to get a little more fit, but the sugar in it, chocolate.
Yeah.
Those are the kind of things I enjoy, when I'm just kind of sitting around chilling.
Yeah.
I've fallen in love with a couple of different series on Netflix. So
Okay.
I'm actually right now, don't tell nobody, but right now I'm actually like rewatching Girlfriends, like like the whole series. I'm on like season 2 right now.
Yeah.
So just one or two things on Netflix that I'll get locked in on a weekend maybe that I don't have a whole lot going on. Probably just that, and the whole sweets thing for me is just like I just figure out what I'm gonna do with that because up to this point I'm still working on that.
No, I understand. Chocolate milkshakes is my guilty pleasure.
There you go. There you go.
Yeah. All right, Coach Porter. Well, that's all the time we have for today. Thank you for joining on the show. Will you be back if we do another one?
Say I'll come back anytime you want me to. Listen, before you let me go, I got to tell you how proud I am of you, right? Like these people don't all know that I've known you since you were 12 years old.
Right.
Greatness, I saw greatness in you at 12.
Yeah.
And so I'm excited about everything that you're doing now. So anytime you need me, I'm a phone call away. I got you. Call me and we'll get together. I love talking to you.
Appreciate it, Coach. I appreciate that a lot. And one thing before we go off, where can people find you on social media, or Twitter or your Facebook? Where are you mainly on?
I am on Twitter. I am Coach Jerry P, at Coach Jerry P on Twitter, and Facebook. I'm just Jerry Porter on Facebook. So those are the two sites that I spend most of my time on if I'm on social media.
Awesome. All right, thanks, Coach. And I'd like to thank our sponsor, Spacey Cloud, and thank the Loop for letting me use the space to do these interviews. So again, thank you, Coach, for joining me, and we'll talk soon.